You're tuned to The Drive on your 24/7 home of the black and gold. Steelers Nation Radio.
Good afternoon, Steelers Nation. It's The Drive on the Steelers Audio Network here on a Monday. Wes Uhler, Matt Williamson with you for the next 2 hours. And Matt, I think quite a stark difference from how we were feeling last Monday as the Steelers fall 31-17 to Seattle in the home opener. And the whole way driving in here and everything, I'm thinking, like, how do we start this? How do we describe this? I think it's just a disappointing effort. All three phases of the ball, from the offense, from the defense, from the special teams. And I know we'll talk about Caleb Johnson and that gaffe, and a lot of people want to pin it on that, and that was certainly a huge moment.
Huge.
But I thought from top to bottom of the roster, from top to bottom of the coaching staff, just a disappointing Sunday afternoon, a disappointing home opener against Seattle.
Yeah, and you mentioned it's a much different feeling than last Monday, and it is. But what we saw on the field wasn't all that much different.
It's a fair point, unfortunately.
I mean? And that's how this league is. Well, that's how the Steelers are playing right now. And unfortunately, over the last couple of years, there is a fine line of, man, if you're not winning down to down consistently, if your success rate isn't high on both sides of the ball, winning this down, not huge plays, and being reliant on Boz, Rodgers, Watt, sacks, interceptions, splash, which they're really good at, and there's an art to that. But if the splash doesn't go your way, and it didn't go their way with two huge plays, the end zone interception, which at least is 3 points, and was a weird play. It wasn't like Rodgers hit someone in the numbers and just didn't see him. You know what I mean? Like, that was a football play at least. But it was bad, and it was kind of bad luck, and, It
was everything you didn't need rolling
everything
into
you didn't need when you were going pretty good at that point, too. I mean, the play before that, I would have bet the Steelers would win that game.
Was that the Jalen Warren big play?
And they were moving, and they had momentum, and exactly.
Or you just mean in general
at
that moment?
At that moment, I'm
gotcha.
like, if I had to bet on one of these two teams to win right now, I'll take the black and gold with how this is going. And then, obviously, the Caleb Johnson play, you handed them 7 points. I mean, it wasn't even like they did something to make it happen, or this defensive back tipped the ball and made a good play, or this guy ran a wrong route. I mean, you just here's 7 points. Do you want it or not? Mm-hmm. Yes, here you take it. Now, this game and this season is much worse or worrisome than those two plays I referenced. But when the big plays go their way, and you're not winning at the lines of scrimmage, particularly both running games, then you have very little chance. You know what I mean? At least in the Jets game, you hit the 60-yarder, Gainwell makes a play. Okay,
you got the special teams plays in the Jets game.
Exactly. And then you end up with a win. In a game, maybe you weren't the best team down to down, but you were the best team in the end because you got the big plays. This game, I didn't think you were the best team down to down, and you didn't get they got the big plays at the end. And that's where you're living right now. It's razor's edge.
That's how you end up losing by 2 scores.
Mm-hmm.
And, man, you are so right. And we talk about this when we do our NFL pick'ems and we go through the spreads of the games every Friday like we do. You see how infrequently those spreads are more than a touchdown, more than one score.
Right.
Because that's life in the National Football League.
Yeah.
Moats used to – I never forget this. Like 2019, I think it was, the second year that Arthur Moats and I were doing a show together.
Mm-hmm.
I remember I made a comment about, like, I expect them to lose. We were talking about some game, and I was like, I expect them to lose, but I don't expect them to get blown out.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, well, what's getting blown out in the NFL to you? And I was like,
that's interesting.
I was like, I think 2 touchdowns or more, I would say, is getting blown out.
Mm-hmm.
And he kind of gave me a look, and I was like, well, what? Like, you tell me. You're the one who played a decade in the league. You tell me. And he said anything more than a possession is getting blown out in the NFL. Like, if you lose by more than 7, that was not a close game. Like,
not a close game,
And the term blowout is, I guess it would depend how you define it, right? Some people might say that's getting embarrassed, but from NFL standards, when you look at the spreads, when you look at Vegas, when you look at the average game in the league, they're 1-possession games.
A high percentage of the time.
High percentage of the time. So
and the Steelers are the best in the league. Are great at winning those.
Absolutely.
And there's an art to that. I used to think it was random. I don't think that at all anymore.
No, it's coaching and quarterback play.
Yeah, and having a great kicker.
Having a
things like
serial
that.
killer
Right,
kicker.
that kind of stuff goes a long way. One thing I'll fight Moats on, and he's not wrong, but there are games like I dominate the whole time, and then against a prevent you score, and we end up losing by 9. But I could have beat you by a million.
It was a 3-point game the whole
that
way.
Kind of stuff
There's
happens.
nuance in there. There's nuance in there.
But I hear what he's saying for sure. It's not rarely do you just see a team resting their starters in the fourth quarter, or like yesterday, Trubisky's in at the end of the game. And
it's not Ohio State against Akron.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So when you have a game that was going to be that tight, the 7 points that you hand them on special teams, like you mentioned,
gigantic.
It's
a gift.
Particularly when the second biggest moment of the game was probably that interception in the end zone, the kind of miscommunication there with Calvin Austin. As you mentioned, it was probably at least going to be a field goal for the Steelers.
I mean, that's 10 points,
that's a 10-point
14.
Swing. That's a 10-point swing right there.
Yeah.
Like, even if you're at home against a bad team, that's tough to overcome.
Oh, yeah,
Maybe you can do it against Carolina.
Maybe.
But a team like Seattle.
Maybe Philly can do it against Carolina.
Maybe Buffalo can do it against Carolina.
I don't think this team can do it against anybody, and most teams can't.
It's a tough way to live. And then, as you mentioned, when a lot of the concerns, and that's the biggest picture thing for me.
Super quick, those two plays don't even bother me that much. They're horrible, especially the Johnson one is horrible. It's horrible.
Inexcusable.
But that's not going to happen again. Losing at the line of scrimmage has happened twice in a row on both sides of the ball, and might happen 15 more times.
Explosive runs that you're giving up.
Right.
Through 120 minutes of football.
I got a spreadsheet for you, by the way, but I'm saving that for tomorrow because we got too much to talk about today. You're going to like it.
I can't wait. I can't wait. That is, man, like you are.
That's what worries me.
That's what worries me.
I always look at like I'm a doctor. Like, I'm a patient and I come in and you're the doctor and I'm like, I got all these symptoms. I got these little bumps all over. My throat hurts, blah, 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 blah. He's like, those are symptoms, son. Here's the problem is you have this disease or you're not eating enough fiber or whatever. Well, the disease, the problem is the lines of scrimmage.
Yes.
100%. The bumps and the symptoms are showing up all over the place. But if you would win more battles at the line of scrimmage, all those things get a lot nicer,
I have like a mantra of September football, and it's just don't sink yourself.
I like that.
Like, make it to October and have your relative health.
Yeah.
And be at least 500, be at least 2-2.
No matter how you get there.
Yeah. Like, just
which
get,
still could be in the cards.
Which absolutely could still be in the cards.
So many teams went to 1-1. Like I'm interrupting you like crazy. I'm all wound up. I had too much coffee. I did a show before this.
No, it's
but
all
like
good.
You watch last night's game. It's like I don't think Minnesota or Atlanta is really a 2-0 team or a 0-2 team. I don't think the Steelers are really a 2-0 team or an 0-2 team, and that they regulate themselves. All of them are now 1-1. Like okay, you're surviving. You might get to October, like you said, at 2-2. All these teams I'm mentioning.
Fine.
Yeah.
But what really matters though is the improvement that you see in the course of those 4 games.
Yeah.
Not being 0-4, 1-3, and being way behind the 8 ball, and having tangible improvement. And I think particularly for this Steelers team with so much turnover at the quarterback position on defense, with a lot of their primary weapons on offense as well.
Yeah. And a million defensive injuries, which I'm not saying that as an
absolutely
excuse,
that should be mentioned.
Yes.
Like, it's about learning your personnel and improving in those first 4-ish games of the season.
Yeah.
And right now, as you rightfully point out, that conversation begins and ends with the trenches on both sides of the football.
1,000%.
Because Aaron Rodgers can be great. They can continue to make splash plays, interceptions, get their hands on footballs, which I'm sure they will.
Boz will make 60-yarders.
But none of that is going to matter. In the grand, it might get you 10 wins and sneaking into the playoffs again.
Right.
But none of that
get hammered by the Ravens or the Bills.
None of that in the grand scheme of things, of trying to get where we want to go, which is double-digit wins and winning a playoff game and hopefully going on a run. None of that is going to transpire if you don't diagnose the issue. And Matt, believe me, they are having much harsher conversations about this on the South Side right now than you and I are. But it begins and ends in all the other stuff is like window dressing.
Yeah.
The trenches are the foundation of the house, and right now the foundation's got some cracks in it. It doesn't matter.
There's
doesn't
some
matter
nice
how great,
paint. Some of the shutters are nice. The electricity's fine.
Doesn't matter how nice the new roof you put on the house is when the foundation has cracks.
Right. Like the bedroom's beautiful. Some rooms are crappy.
You got a sweet 65-inch TV in the basement.
Right. But sometimes the foundation rattles and it falls and it smashes, But the thing is, the good news is I 1,000% think they know this. Every team knows their problems, more or less. But they've also put their money where their mouth is. Benton, Harmon, Frazier, both tackles. They've used their resources
where you want them to.
Yeah. Now it needs to come to fruition, and it hasn't yet in 2025.
No, it has not. And it is only 120 minutes of football. I think that is important, obviously, to note.
No question.
We do the overreaction, underreaction thing in the NFL like no other business because we love this so much. It's such a big deal. We spend so much time getting ready for just 17 regular season games. But right now, through 120 minutes, that's what you got. And
the problem, it's 2/17 of the season. It's not the Pens had bad goalie play for the first 2 weeks of the season.
Right.
First 2 games of the season.
Exactly right. And, don't look now, but you're not going to be back home again until week 6.
I know.
I mean, you're going on the road. New England is not a great team. I'm not trying to gas that up. But they're going to be a team that wants to win in the trenches as well, too, just like the Steelers.
Their first-round pick was a tackle. They invested like crazy in the D-line.
Milton big money on that defensive line.
I mean, we'll talk Patriots, but the little I've dug in, they had the fewest sacks in the league this year. They already have 9, and they're getting after quarterbacks like crazy. They're fixing their problems. They're trending the right direction,
And a lot of those things, too, Matt. Again, new season, new quarterback, I think you and I probably the most roster change that the Steelers have had in an offseason that I can remember.
And that's really hard, especially in today's NFL when you don't do as much in camp or preseason, and nobody does.
But a lot of the struggles from last year are continuing still early on through 2 games. A lot of the things that we talked about, sack differential, turnover differential, yards per carry for the run game.
Brutal.
It's still not even close to where they need it to be.
Not even close. So I'm getting real deep into the weeds, but something I've really found out this morning, to pull back the curtain, my Mondays, until noon, I am not on the air. From noon until today, with 2 Monday night games, I will be busy from noon until the end of the last kickoff.
Till about 1 a.m.
One thing after another, or a game in front of me. Maybe find a sandwich somewhere in between. But from the second I wake up until noon when I'm on the air or I get here, I just do research like crazy. It's Matt Stats starts growing.
Just pound coffee and get into some numbers.
So, but one thing that really stood out to me, and my big thing is, do the stats and the stuff I'm looking at match what I saw on Sunday too? If it doesn't, I don't even bring it up to you guys.
That's the way to use analytics and statistics.
That doesn't quite add up. But one thing, like if you look at Matt's stats going into week 1, the last 2 or 3 years, and there's a lot of examples we'll talk about. Yards per carry is another one. The Steelers face more pass attempts in the middle of the field than any defense over the 2022, 23, 24 seasons.
Okay.
And 24, it was a little less. They know this. People think, they don't know anything. They're not analytically inclined. Well, they went and got Queen, Wilson, Elliott, and then Ramsey as a slot corner. So you think that, and I think people have attacked the middle of the fields because, first off, their linebackers have been weak in previous years. Mm-hmm. Post-Shazier, they've been bad on the second level. They'll be the first to tell you that. And their pass rush is so good, I don't want to hold the ball, pat the ball, throw deep outs and goes outside the numbers because it takes a lot longer for the ball to get there, and my quarterback gets hit a lot, and I don't like it. So I'm going to attack the middle of the field. So the Steelers know this, and they've reinforced the middle of the field. But yesterday, 46% of the Seattle attempts were in the middle of the field. 25's a high number. That was all they were doing. And then it's like, the things that were weak, it's one game. And that's where Kupp and Smith-Njigba make their money and their tight ends, and they don't really have the Metcalf outside the numbers anymore. But they attacked like it was any other year with great success, and that bothered me. You know what I mean? And again, that's a one-game thing.
I want to we need to get to a break here, but I want to when we come back, I want to dig into that more with you because I do think again, you have to kind of grain of salt all of it because it's only 2 games this year, but there is also that sample size of the past, which even with the roster turnover still matters.
Still matters. It's how other offensive coordinators have this. I'm
The
so
blueprint,
big on
the
that.
blueprint is there.
Yeah, really smart coordinators in this league have decided that's how we attack the Steelers. I think that's super important, especially when you see trends.
There's a couple other trends in that regard with how to attack the Steelers. Let's talk about that when we return on the other side. A whole bunch going on today. We will talk to Rob King in a little bit as well, too, as we continue to dissect a disappointing 31-17 loss in the home opener for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Matt Williamson, Wes Uhler will continue the conversation as we roll along here. It's The Drive on Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. All right, Matt, let's jump right back into it here in terms of a blueprint, some trends for how to attack this Steelers defense.
The defense, okay.
That we've, again, seen for the last couple years and seen through the first 2 games of this 2025 season. You mentioned attacking the middle of the field. Mm-hmm. That, I think, is impossible to deny at this point. The other thing is they're just running away from T.J. Watt. I mean,
at a ridiculous rate.
If you look where the Seahawks are running the football to the left side, like 94 or 96% of the time.
Yeah.
That's not an accident.
No, it's screaming that's the only reason why. Especially if Highsmith goes out and Herbig's in.
Totally.
I mean,
and
I
we
know
love
Cam
Herbig,
Hayward's
but
over
that's
there.
not his specialty.
That's not his specialty, but no, both teams have ran away from Watt massively. Now, sorry to hijack it, and I've gotten a lot of this today. People are just mad. Well, then why doesn't Watt go to the right side? In this game, I wouldn't have moved him because the weak link of the Seahawks offensive line was the right side and the right tackle. Now, that doesn't mean you couldn't bump people more to the left as a whole.
Sure.
When you see the trends are that strong. But I'm glad you brought that up. I mean, it's 2 games and everybody runs left.
Everyone runs left.
Everyone runs left.
It's like, Matt, I played a little basketball growing up. I wasn't a superstar, but I couldn't dribble with my left hand.
Yeah, okay.
I was going right every time.
And people start to figure it out.
You could figure if you're, you know,
they're watching the Uhler tape.
They're watching the Uhler tape.
Right,
These coaches are making millions of dollars. They're like, this guy can't dribble with his left hand.
Right.
It's almost that blatant where like, here's where we're going.
Here's where we're going.
Over 90% of the time.
Yeah.
And when you combine that with the success over the middle of the field, like that is something
and
that
it was harder to do if Hayward's one of the best players in the league.
Totally.
He hasn't been yet.
Totally.
I thought he was better in this game, but he hasn't been yet, and he's out there too much. And he's never on the same size Watt. You know, right? Correct.
And he, I think, will get more comfortable and more up to speed. Certainly, he's the vintage, Ford F-150 that you can't just start it up and go 0 to 60, right? You got to get the juices flowing and get acclimated and get acclimated.
He's not going to get out of the starting blocks probably as quick as others, nor should he at this point.
And I know, listen, the defense is banged up. They are down some key starters. Patrick Queen missed snaps in that game. Peyton Wilson missed snaps in that game. We're already down Elliott and Porter. You lose Loudermilk. You lose Highsmith.
Yeah.
But again, this is one of those things when we get a couple weeks into October here where it's really okay. We know who we are now. You've had the first 4 games.
And by then, Cam might be one of the best defense tackles in the league.
Wouldn't surprise us.
Expect him to.
I don't think that would surprise us one bit.
Which would go a long way.
But in the interim, you better start to find some ways to figure this out. You better start to make teams play left-handed a little bit more, to use my basketball analogy.
Losing Highsmith doesn't help that cause.
Not at all.
You're going to get a lot of runs to the left, if not more. I'm not sure you could do it more. So we talk about Pro Football Focus. You can't ignore them. They're a great resource. But Watt basically broke their run defense grade for an edge player last year. He was that good.
He's great. He doesn't get enough credit. He's great in the run game.
I know he's gone 6 games without a sack, blah, blah, blah. Why'd you give him any money? He's really good, guys. I mean, he'll get his sacks. Don't sweat it. But his run defense is awesome, and everybody knows it. So you're going to get this more and more and more. Now, losing Highsmith definitely hurts in that regard because you're a lesser team if Sawyer's out there. You're not a lesser team versus the pass if Herbig's out there, but you are versus the run. I mean, these are facts. Cam goes a long way of fixing it, or at least making it less desirable to run to the left.
Yes.
Let's just put it that way. But he's not up to speed yet. You hope he will be. I think he will be, and I thought this game was better than week 1. But this is my problem is, again, going back to you when you go to the doctor's office, the doctor isn't super worried that you have a lump or a pimple. It's where it came from, The D-line snaps, to me, are not where you wanted them to be through 2 games.
Okay.
So Benton has never been close to a full-time player. He's been either the nose in the 3-4, and then like his first season, this is his 3rd year. His first year, he only played like 4 snaps on 3rd and longs or in the nickel. Last year he played more, but he's never been a massive snap eater. I mean, even the nose, you're only on the field the 3-4 for 30% of the plays or something
Especially
like that.
now in 2025, less than ever.
Right. And this can't be by design. Some of this is injury related, but their defensive line snaps right now. Benton leads the way with 94. It's not how you drew it up. Cam is second at 91. With considering his offseason, probably not how you drew it up. The third guy is Y.A. Black. It's all the way down to 64. And I think they're giving him more and more, and that's been somewhat successful. I'm cool with that.
I think there's some things to like there, certainly.
Yeah. I think that's a good development.
Yes.
And some of it by necessity, but great inventions have been made by necessity too. But no other defensive lineman's played more than 37. So you're at 94, 91, 64.
And a massive drop off.
37 way down here. And that ain't cutting it. Like some of that's because Loudermilk got hurt, which I hope he's fine, but could be a good thing, by the way. I mean, he was starting and not playing well.
Struggling.
Yeah. Ukele, I don't know. I know I don't pronounce his name particularly well. I think he's been a bright spot, too. Maybe he gets more and more nose and takes stuff off Benton's plate. Harmon, someday will be back. He was
hopefully in New England, hopefully
right
up there in Foxborough this weekend.
So I just think that is kind of telling. It's not an excuse, but it's kind of telling of which defensive linemen have been out there and when. Isn't how you drew it up. Even though you have a deep D line and what you thought was a really good D line. Again, the root of all 90% of the Steelers' problems to me is losing at the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball.
I do think it's that simple. And again, there's a ton of other minutia. There's a ton of other details in there, but I do think it's that simple.
Number 2 receiver, yes. So they're getting attacked in the middle of the field too much, yes. But if you win at both lines of scrimmage, everything else gets easier.
Yes, it does.
Sometimes the game's that simple.
Chuck
Noll was sitting there and be like, block people. Get off blocks.
Blocking, tackling, shedding blocks.
Right.
The traditional elements of football. I do want to talk a little bit about the Steelers secondary with you as well too, but let's stay there and kind of spin the block for a second to the Steelers offensive line.
Okay.
Because I do feel like for the first, half an hour of the show, we've spent more of the time talking about the defensive side.
Yeah. Just expectation-wise and how Seattle's built, I'm much more worried about the defense than the offense. Or disappointed.
I think it's fair to say that the Steelers, the last 2 weeks, their opening 2 games, they have played good to very good defensive fronts.
Yes.
I think the Jets is good. I think Seattle's is very good.
Agreed.
But at the same time, as you mentioned, this is supposed to be the time that we're talking about the Steelers' offensive line ascending and being good to very good as well.
Right.
They have 2 first-round picks as bookends. They got a second-round pick at center. Isaac Seumalo was a big free agent investment when they signed him a few years ago. And Mason McCormick was not a first or second round pick, but he wasn't a 7th round pick either.
And he was a success story as a rookie.
To me, I understand that they've had some significant tasks in the first 2 weeks in terms of the teams that they've been playing, but it's got to look better than it has through 120 minutes.
And I say this a million times over a 365-day year. D-lines are way better than O-lines in the league. It's the biggest discrepancy
you got
going.
The apex predators all across the defensive line.
Velociraptors everywhere on the defensive line.
That's the line you like to use. Not apex predator, velociraptors.
And they're all different, too. Some are rhinos. Some are grizzly bears.
Hippos?
There's mako sharks. I mean, you got to block. I mean, you got to block a great white. It doesn't get any better. And New England's went from the worst to being quite good now all of a sudden. And then you're going to get the Vikes, and then you're going to, doesn't get any easier. But this is a problem all teams are dealing with is D linemen are nasty nowadays. You got to figure out a way around it, you know?
That you do, and there has not been a lot of bright spots in that regard through the first 2 games.
No.
Everyone
knows Jones was, quote, to blame the first week. I thought he was better yesterday.
That is the one bright spot. No one was talking about Broderick Jones yesterday, and I think that's a good thing. Troy Fautanu did not have his best game, but I also think we need to expect that, as it was his 3rd start in his NFL career.
He was disappointing yesterday, but I'll still buy that stock all day long.
Yes, absolutely right. But there's just, Matt, there's just no push. You know,
that's the thing.
Even when they would have some explosive plays, and I don't know, did they have one again in the run game? Did they have one in the run game? Three in the run game? I'm trying to remember. The numbers are all running together at this point. But
great.
Even when it feels like they're getting explosive plays in that department, it's felt more like it's been Jaylen Warren making a player or two miss and making something out of, I don't want to say nothing, but not much. You know, it hasn't been, wow, look at all the space that the offensive line cleared there, and they were moving bodies, and Jaylen Warren was able to hit the hole. It was Jaylen Warren
Breece Hall and Walker are getting that and doing the stuff.
Breece Hall had a 19-yard touchdown run and didn't get touched. Kenneth Walker, had a 19-yard touchdown run yesterday and didn't get touched.
Right.
Jaylen Warren, when he's getting 9-yard runs, a little bit of chunk runs, it feels like it's more he's breaking a tackle or two and doing something spectacular, hurdling somebody or breaking a tackle, and that to me is
Pittsburgh only has one run play that has gone for 10 or more yards in 2 games.
Because I know they had none against the Jets.
None against the Jets.
Jaylen Warren had a 9-yard run, but right on kind of that line. But even if you want to count that, that's one per game then, if you give Jaylen Warren that 9-yard run at MetLife Stadium.
I mean, if we're going to make an arbitrary cutoff at 10 because it's a round number.
Let's make it 9. But it still only gets you one more.
Yeah, it's not enough.
It's not enough.
I was going to save my spreadsheet for tomorrow, but explosive run differential. That's 10 yards or more.
A run of 10 yards or more. Yep.
They're -9 in 2 games. -9.
That's 120 minutes of football.
Right.
I mean,
-9.
That is, and
just runs.
When you especially,
you want to talk about that kind of just tells the whole story.
If you're the Cincinnati Bengals, and I know it's different now because Joe Burrow, but if you're a team that's clearly predicated upon your quarterback and throwing the football, that might not be the end of the world.
You might be 2-0. Yeah, right. Yeah.
But if you are a team that is predicated on running the football and stopping the run, and you combine those two things, that's how you are where the Steelers are right now, where I know hindsight is always 20/20, but as you kind of alluded to at the start of the show, you're feeling a little more fortunate about getting out of MetLife with a win, but some of those warts, some of those issues are looming a little bit larger right now in the face of what just happened and kind of repeating a lot of those sins yesterday.
Yeah, and I don't mean to harp back on the Steelers defense too much, but they actually weren't bad down to down against the run as they were against the Jets. Now, Fields has something to do with that too. I mean, the running quarterback's a nightmare, and he's phenomenal at it. But you still allowed the explosives. I was joking. I mean, some people were saying, like, well, if you take away the 6 big runs that Walker had, the run defense wasn't bad.
Okay.
Well,
if you take away if you take away the one fastball where the pitcher gave up a grand slam, it wasn't that bad.
Right.
That counts.
It counts, and it wasn't one bad play.
That's also the purpose of sticking with the run game, is eventually this dam's going to break and we're going to hit a big one.
Exactly. Now, there is something to be said that their success rate, just down after down against the run was better in week 2. But you still allowed 6 or 7 or 8 explosives.
And it's situationally, it seemed like at the worst possible time.
I know like their third down conversion rate on defense wasn't that terrible, but it felt terrible. It was they convert a lot of 3rd and longs.
Were they like 5 of 16? Does that sound right?
I'm thinking about the defense.
Oh, the defense. Okay.
Yeah.
Seattle were they 6 of 16, or does that sound?
It was like 50%, but it felt like 80.
Because again, situationally, it was like they got them when they needed them.
Yep. Boy, Kupp just got 8 when on 3rd and 7.
Man, where did that performance come from?
You know what I mean? Yeah.
I was not expecting that. And you know what? That's kind of like let's
the cup stuff worries me.
Let's dig deeper into that because I said a few minutes ago I wanted to talk to you about the Steelers secondary.
Yeah.
Let's do that to close down the first hour when we return on the other side. Get into some more of that here. We will talk to our buddy Rob King at the top of the second hour. Plenty to get into as we roll along. Wes Uhler and Matt Williamson. It's The Drive on Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. So let's talk about this Steelers secondary.
Okay.
And Matt, your, I think, correct diagnosis, Dr. Williamson, maybe that's what we'll call you on Mondays, is Dr. Williamson, about the...
I wasn't in college long enough.
Yeah, they're called doctors, Richard. The diagnosis of the splash plays are there, but when you take that away, it's a lot of not so good.
Yeah.
I think that works with the Steelers secondary through these first two games. There's been a lot of big plays. The Jalen Ramsey interception was a huge moment.
You mean good big plays? Yeah.
At that point, it's 7-3.
Mm-hmm.
You would, they open with a touchdown. You open with a field goal. Jalen Ramsey intercepts it and gives you the ball in plus territory. If you score there and a touchdown and you go up 10-7 instead of kicking a field goal, maybe the game plays out differently, right?
Sure.
But at the same time, it is feeling a little bit too, and I don't know, maybe this is an overreaction just 2 games in, but it's what we got, of like a feast or famine with the Steelers secondary. They're either making that big play or they're giving up the big play. How do you fix that? How do you diagnose that? And I just have to ask the question. I know this is not where we wanted to be asking 2 games into the season, but would you consider a little bit more, maybe some more zone concepts in that secondary? Because
good question.
It feels like I know a lot of Steeler fans are Slay's old, Ramsey's old, they don't have the speed anymore. I'm not quite there yet, but maybe when you're playing against somebody like Jackson Smith and Jigba who can fly, who can move, it shows up a little bit more.
So pull back the curtain. I have not watched the All-22 yet as of recording this on Monday, and I don't know their zone man rates, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I think there's some things that are becoming obvious, and one of them's outside their hands. That you have Elliott and Porter. That's 2 of your top.
I am glad that you mentioned that because it's not an excuse, but it's certainly part of the conversation.
It definitely matters.
Definitely,
and there's no doubt.
100%.
Peppers just got here. Clark kind of just got here. So let's be honest, And by the way, we were talking about a lot of the change on offense. Thornhill's new, Slay's new, Ramsey's new. Like, who's left from last year from the secondary? Eccles is new.
Joey Porter Jr. and Elliott, and they're the 2 who are out.
They're the only 2 that have been around.
The 2 who have been around are out.
I actually just, as talking through that, it just dawned on me that everybody playing was not here last year. That matters.
That totally matters.
Okay.
Particularly this early in the season. That would be different if it was game 12.
Right. Yeah, then it's not an excuse anymore.
That really matters.
That definitely matters. Because that's a communication thing. Like if you had 5 new offensive linemen and they didn't pick up stunts, you'd be like, well, they've never ever played together. And so I'm glad we actually had that conversation.
I'm glad we landed there as well too.
Everybody playing was not on this team last year. That's just a fact in the secondary. And Minka's good. Now I'm not saying they shouldn't have made the trade, but you've heard me make this analogy with Minka is okay, maybe he didn't make as many big plays at the end of his Steeler career at the beginning. And there's no way he could have kept that up, by the way.
First 6 or 7 games he had an interception, I think, or a turnover forced.
But I always said he was Grant Fuhr. Now, hockey.
It's a great analogy.
Whenever you had Earl Thomas, Ed Reed, Minka, you could let Paul Coffey go deep into the offensive zone. You know what I mean?
4 skaters forward. If we get beat coming back, it's fine. I got us.
I got us, guys.
You guys take your chances.
Maybe
we'll
my
get
goals
beat every
against
once in
is
a while,
a little high, but we're going to score a lot of goals with the doctor carrying the puck.
We're going to score a lot more than I'm going to give up.
Oh, yeah. Feeding Gretzky and right.
That was the 2008 Penguins, the first ones that lost to the Red Wings in the Stanley Cup before they went back and beat them the next year.
Yeah.
That was some Marc-Andre Fleury vibes, too.
You guys can go
That
cheat.
2018 got so active going forward, and Fleury had the best year of his career, and it was like, you guys go. I got this.
That's great. Yeah, my best example is Coffey because there's no more of an offensive defense.
It's a great one, too.
Let the doctor
Paul Coffey,
skate.
Get up there, dude.
Right.
Score some goals. We'll be fine.
We don't need you to play D, and you don't do it that great anyways, but I don't care. But Minka allowed the other 10 to be way more aggressive, and that was great. I also thought this was a bad Thornhill day overall. And I'm a Thornhill guy, and I still would make the trade, and I'd rather have Ramsey than what Minka brought. But Minka would have been useful yesterday, that's for sure, especially in the middle of the field. And Ramsey could use a little help, too. I thought Ramsey got picked on, and I didn't see a lot of people giving him a lot of support in this game, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But it's funny. I'm glad we had this. It's fun having these conversations with you or being on the air with other people and you talk through things. It's like all their defensive backs weren't here last year. Everybody that played yesterday.
That's an important point.
Yeah. Clark, Peppers, Thornhill, their top 3 safeties, not here.
There's been a lot
Slay,
of
Ramsey, Eccles. That's the only guys that played, and none of them were Steelers last year.
There's been a lot of good points made by people in the last 24 hours, but I think that one is
I'm going to use that a lot this week.
That's definitely. How about that one? We might have just stumbled onto Plymouth Rock there, Matt. I tell you,
I'm on with Mark Madden in half an hour, and I bet I use that little nugget. Yeah.
And that certainly matters. But again, too, like. That's where I think you get the performance that you got from JSN, that you got from Cooper Kupp, is when you combine a lot of injuries,
sure,
to the defensive front and the secondary.
And I might be right that Cooper Kupp shot, but he's not dumb. He knows how to exploit any little weaknesses or lean in this way. Or
I thought he was
not
very impressive.
I know he may end up being better than I thought too.
I expected Jackson Smith and Jigba to get his. Maybe not to the tune of over 100 yards, but I expected him to get his. But I did not expect Cooper Kupp to have the impact that he did.
1,000%.
So, with all that, I mean.
How do you make it better? Nobody cares about the pain. Show me the baby. You know what I mean?
Matt, I swear, we're on the same page today because I was going to say.
Coaches don't care. Fans don't care. Make it better.
As our good friend Tunch Yokin would have said, I don't care about the labor. Show me the baby.
Mm-hmm.
They have got to. Listen, I don't think.
The Patriots aren't going to take it easy on you.
The Patriots aren't suddenly just going to be like, hey, we're going to run the ball left every time. Here we go. You know exactly what's coming.
Super quick, Wes. I put out sack differential. It's also part of
that's part of it.
It's really terrible right now.
The 30,000-foot view conversations that we had of areas of improvement heading into this season
aren't going.
That wasn't 1 or 2 on the list, but it was definitely in the top 5.
Right. So I put it out there, and someone on Twitter, and I'm not giving this person a hard time, says, I don't think it's fair to cite sack differential because the Steelers have a young line and their quarterback doesn't move well and he's older. Like, nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
Do you think the Patriots aren't going to attack the crap out of that? Like, nobody cares. You know, this is the wild. You know, if you're the antelope that's limping, the tiger's going to eat you.
Yes.
You know, that's how it goes.
Yes. That's the NFL. The joke stands for not for long, right?
Yeah.
Because they're coming for your heart and your soul.
It's not a warm, fuzzy place.
No, it is not. And
if your quarterback doesn't move well, they're going to make him move or they're going to hit him.
Exactly right. Exactly right. And
show me the baby.
Show me the baby. I don't care about the labor pains. Show me the baby. And for that defense, they got to find a way to get through the labor and fast.
Yeah, right.
I mean, because I know that they are shorthanded, but they are certainly more talented than they've shown through 2 games.
Sure, not 1,000%.
I don't think you can deny that at this point. And you know, that's the thing too. While you know the other guys make money, the other teams have superstars and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But the Jets in Seattle are also not even close to the best offenses you're going to see this season.
If that was the Ravens in either one of those 2 weeks,
or Buffalo, who we'll see in November,
right?
Maybe if it was even a team like the Chargers, who have great
big
quarterback.
Time quarterback. Right. It's going to get harder, folks.
It's going to get more difficult.
Right.
Maybe not necessarily this weekend. Maybe not even necessarily this month.
Maybe not.
But pretty soon.
Or even the Browns, but there's some scary ones looming. Baltimore would have ripped you apart.
And so that to me is, you better figure this out and quick, because the back half of the schedule, I'm not saying it's the murderer's row gauntlet that it was last year, but I think 5 of the last 6 teams they play went to the postseason last year. Yeah. You got Buffalo in there. You got a road game at Detroit in there. You've got the Ravens in there.
Fortunately, you don't have Burrow, it looks like, but Lamar and Josh Allen. I mean, if you want to get to where you want to get in the AFC, you have to beat those guys.
You have to beat those guys.
Right. And you haven't even seen those guys or anything close to those guys yet.
If you're going to beat those guys, you've got to look like one of the best defenses in the National Football League. And again,
and that's what they're trying to build here.
That's
why they're putting their money into it. And right. And that's the plan.
Players are allowed to get better. Teams will get better. They've had a ton of turnover on that defense and a lot of injuries. That is not nothing. But starting this Sunday in New England, you better start finding some ways to overcome it.
Yeah. And that's what you spend all week doing as a coaching staff. Okay, well, we're getting body blow after body blow. How can I still stand in the ring and be able to take the next one?
100%. And I'm not saying that they have to suddenly look like a top 3 defense in the league Sunday at Foxborough.
But improvement's necessary.
But they better look, I think, noticeably improved from where they've been the last 2 weeks. Again, particularly in the trenches.
Agreed.
Matt, an hour in the books. Another hour to go.
Rolling along.
What do you say we bring in our good friend Rob King to get his thoughts on this conversation as we go here? We will start hour number 2 with Rob King. We will, in hour number 2 as well, we need to go around the league at some point and talk about
Burrow,
Burrow and talk about some of these other results across the NFL in week 2. We'll do all that and more in hour number 2. Wes Uhler, Matt Williamson. It's The Drive on Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. Hour number 2 of The Drive here. Good evening, Steelers Nation. We are all commiserating together over the Steelers' disappointing home opener, 31-17. They fall to the Seattle Seahawks, who just continue that unbelievable record that they have of West Coast teams playing in that 1 o'clock East Coast game. It
can't be a fluke.
Unbelievable. It was easy to say for a while, well, it's just because they have Pete Carroll, Hall of Fame coach, Russell Wilson, Hall of Fame type credential, Super Bowl winning quarterback, but
they might have the secret sauce.
They might have the secret sauce. There might be something on that plane or whatever they do when they cross the country, but they have
whatever their pregame meal or plane on meal is or whatever, or maybe go to Permanis. I don't know, but also one loss on the road last year without Pete Carroll. He wasn't part of the organization.
And they were 7-1 on the road last season.
Yeah.
Joining us now to discuss is the man who brought you all the action on your flagship home of the Steelers, DVE, of course, on the Steelers Audio Network as well, too. He hosts In the Locker Room every morning with our buddy Max Starks. It's Rob King. Kinger, partner, let's get right into it. Thank you for your time, as always. I thought Matt, Dr. Williamson made a good point of, we know what all the symptoms are, but what's the diagnosis, right? In your mind, what is the kind of the biggest diagnosis, the root of the struggles? Hey, some of which we saw against New York, but they were able to get out of that stadium with a win and overcome it. And then some of the things, some of the issues, some of the problems that continued yesterday.
Well, that's a great question. I mean, I think for me, mostly it begins and whether this is due to injury and lack of continuity or play calling or performance or, any number of things. They have not been able to control the line of scrimmage, I think is first and foremost. There are other issues that come along, but they haven't really been able to stop the run, and they haven't run the ball themselves, and they haven't protected Aaron Rodgers well enough. So I think everything kind of begins right there for me.
We couldn't agree more. That's how we started the show. But we came up with something I thought we were pretty clever with just last segment, that the Steelers secondary. So if we look at their top guys that played yesterday, and I like all these players, Clark, Peppers, Thornhill at safety, Ramsey, Eccles, Slay at corner. None of them were with the team last year.
Right. No.
Zero.
I think you're, and I've been mulling this over quite a bit. Mike Tomlin is, not like Mike Tomlin cares, but he's going to get, there's some backlash already from, him answering a question about the defense could be historic. And he said, yes. And he thinks it could be. And I think that we have to understand that it's still just week 2. Mm-hmm. That if this were week 15 or 16, it would be a different story. I think what's happened is that because of the way last season ended, in which, yes, you played a good defensive game against Cincinnati, you did not play a good defensive game against Kansas City, Philadelphia, the Ravens twice, really. And the same sort of problems are creeping up, and people think, well, you didn't fix anything. Well, maybe, but maybe it's just really early. And all those guys you mentioned, and then, you think about
It's
personnel
a continuity position, like O-line, passing off guys in zone, and
Right. Broderick Jones was injured for a lot of camp, a lot of the tail end of camp. So what does that do to your continuity? What does it do to your continuity when you have a bunch of guys who haven't played together? And even in camp, these weren't your normal personnel groupings. All right, let's get the second team out there. Okay, first team. And, sure, you mix in Herbig and other guys. But, Chuck Clark was not even signed yet.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. I like all the players. I think perhaps every once in a while it happens where it just works from the jump. Perhaps we should reserve judgment until we get deeper into the season because of the freshness of last year's loss and because of the similarities of what we've seen happen. I think it's easy to say, it's just more of the same when really it's just 2 weeks into the season.
Rob King with us here on The Drive. Kinger, if we do want to talk some positivity and something to glean from Sunday, something to like, something to hopefully continue, and I know there was not a ton there, but I think I'm encouraged by what we saw from Jaylen Warren. I thought that was much needed. I thought, and Matt and I talked about this in the first hour too, it's not like he was Breece Hall or Kenneth Walker, running through wide open holes. I mean, he was making big plays, and he was doing so by making guys miss, shrugging off tackles, hurdling players. If they can start to get that consistently from 30, I think that will go a long way.
Yeah, he and I've never asked him this, but I'm going to guess I know the answer. It appears to me as if he dislikes being tackled. Like it's just not his favorite thing,
Not big on
But
it.
he's always been that way. He's always been that way. I mean, if you do get him to the ground, he fights you right to the ground. He is a battler out there. He's also skilled, so I don't want to just say, oh, he's a battler. He's a skilled battler, and that's a good combination to have. I've been thinking all along that I'd like to see more of him. Now, I think what their plan is, and this is what it looked like in week 1, is Jaylen Warren is your first and second down back, and then your third down back is Kenneth Gainwell, much like Jaylen was kind of the third down back to Najee Harris. And so that means, your first and second down back are going to get the majority of carries. We saw on occasion moments in which Najee had fewer carries than Jaylen Warren. Well, the first game of the season, you find yourself in a hole. You're playing, come from behind football. And so Gainwell snaps and Jaylen Warren snaps were relatively even. They were almost spot on. It was almost a 50-50 division of labor. I'm with you. I want to see what happens if Jaylen Warren gets those first and second down carries that we saw Najee Harris getting. What happens if now he gets 18 to 20 carries a game? And you know what? We've never seen it. I believe the most carries he's ever had in a game is 15. I don't think he's ever had more than that. And I think that was only once. I think he had 14 yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. He's had that 13 to 15 range, but he's never had 18 to 20. I'd like to see him get 18 to 20. I think he's a playmaker. Matt, you had all kinds of great stats about his tackles broken and all these factors that had people drawing the conclusion that he was one of the best backs in the league, or could be if he played more. Now you never know what happens when somebody plays all the time, right? Like this is maybe not a perfect analogy, but yesterday the pitch to Kenneth Walker, right, in which he gained 19 yards. Well, the Steelers are playing back a little bit, and so that's probably an easy 5 to 6 yard gain. Now it shouldn't have gone for 19, but there are moments where it's an easy 5 to 6 yard gain. It's 3rd and 21. You're the third down back. You get a draw. Well, you're probably going to get 6 or 7 yards, right? Because you're playing prevent defense. All that having been said, I'm a believer. I liked Najee Harris. I was a Najee Harris defender. I'm a Jaylen Warren believer. I would like to see him get more touches, and I would like to see what happens if he does. I also think that the Steelers it would be extremely beneficial to them to run the football better. And I think for me, especially now, people are saying, well, you drafted Caleb Johnson. That's fine. But I before we moved on to Caleb Johnson, I'd really like to see Jalen Warren. I'd like to see him get 6, 7, 8 games in a row where he gets 18 to 20 carries.
Yeah, and I almost think there's not a lot of choice at this matter. I mean, you can't just say, Caleb, you're the early down back, Jalen, because he hasn't earned that yet. And Gainwell's a good player, but I think Gainwell's a satellite player, a spot player. So you're fortunate to have Warren. They obviously like him. They just extended his contract. I adore him. The stats back it up. I think everybody listening likes him. Can he handle more? Let's find out.
Matt, that's exactly the way I feel.
Yeah.
And as far as Caleb Johnson, it doesn't have to be right now.
Right.
It doesn't. There's nobody forcing you to play Caleb Johnson X amount of carries a game. And if you got to the point where you were controlling the game, and we saw Cordero Patterson have a series or two a game last year. Maybe that's going to be where Caleb Johnson is. You bring him along, but you're able to pick your spots. And I think that in a lot of ways, whether it is the defensive line rotation, the running back situation, the Steelers have not yet been able to dictate what they want to do. The game, to me, has sort of dictated what they have to do. You fall behind the Jets. Okay, well, we think Kenneth Gainwell can be a really good third down back. Well, now he has to play in our minds, in our mind going into the game, we probably didn't expect a 50-50 snap dispersal, but we had to do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that I think that's kind of the way across the board. Like I'm looking forward, and I think this is going to happen. I'm looking forward to the Steelers being able to dictate usage. They ran, Max pointed it out, 0-4 personnel. I've never seen, I don't think I've ever seen that in my life.
0-4 personnel, baby.
No running backs, 4 tight ends. But I think that when they get humming on offense, they'll be able to dictate the teams. They'll be able to create the matchups they want. I just think that the games and other things have conspired to dictate to the Steelers what they have to do. And that's not the position ideally you'd like to be in.
That is a very good point by you, Rob King. Well done. That's why we love the Kinger in the castle here on the drive. By the way, Rob, 18 is Jalen Warren's most carries in a single game of his career. That was week 14 of the 2023 season against the Cleveland Browns. 18 carries, 129 yards, 1 touchdown.
Went well that day.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Yep.
What's that?
Went well that day, apparently.
I'll take that.
Yeah.
I'll take that. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you very much, because I believe that's the only time he's carried more than 15.
I think
believe.
By my hastily done research, I think you are. Listen, Kinger, I might not produce
and
your
I forgot
show.
that game. Thank you.
I might not produce your show, with you and Max anymore, but I'm still here producing for you, getting the numbers and the statistics for you.
I definitely appreciate it, and it's especially when I can take credit for good research, it's highly appreciated.
That's right.
I like to give you guys credit. Matt Stats. I'm always
incredible.
Matt Stats. Always get you guys. Listen, man. It takes a village, right? Let's all get it together. And I'm glad you corrected me, because I'd forgotten about that game against Cleveland. You're right. There is one game, but look at the productivity there. Now,
right.
I'm not saying every game's going to be 18 for 129. I'm just saying I would like to see him. And look, Jalen Warren is not a big guy, right? He's not Najee Harris, but he's not a little bitty, it's not like he's 5'8", 155.
Mm-hmm.
He is a solidly built young man, so
he's built a lot different than Gainwell.
Right. Yeah. I mean, he's a stocky guy. And I just think that, a lot of times you'll see, they would talk about, guys that weren't huge guys. Billy Sims wasn't a huge guy, right? Not Billy Sims. Who's the other Detroit running back? Oh my goodness.
Maurice Jones-Drew.
Barry
There's
Sanders?
tons of them. Yeah.
Barry Sanders. Yes.
You mean the greatest of all time, Kinger?
Yeah. That name would slip my mind. I don't know where I got Billy. I loved Billy Sims.
Billy Sims was a good player.
That guy run.
Billy Squire? Are you sure it wasn't Billy Squire running the ball for Detroit?
Lonely as the night. No, it wasn't Billy Squire running the ball. But I do think that, he wasn't a huge guy, right? But you couldn't get a good shot at him. Now, Jalen's a more physical runner, I think, than some of the slighter guys that we've seen. And again, he's not a slight guy. He's not. I don't know. Listen. Let's see. Right. I mean, the only he got hurt last year, but I think it was an ankle. Right at the beginning of the year, it was that kind of nagged him all season long. Let's see what happens. That's I don't know as you need to put him in bubble wrap, and I'm not suggesting they are.
I don't have a lot of choice.
Like, well, listen, no, and you know what? I like the choice.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think
they're not out of options.
Right. Yeah. There is out of options, and there is, hey, I'm sorry, but you're gonna have to take Charlize Theron out to dinner. Well, if I don't have any other choices, sure, I'll take her out. You know what I mean? I still think it's a good option to have, at your fingertips.
We will always choose to have Rob King, whether it's dinner or just for a segment here on The Drive. Kinger, we know you are a little under the weather today. Thank you for still taking the time and rest up those vocals as we gotta go again this Sunday at Foxborough.
Never been there. Looking forward to the trip. And always, guys, always a pleasure to be on with you. Thank you.
Thanks, Kinger. We'll talk to you soon. There he is, Rob King, the voice of your Pittsburgh Steelers. As I tell you what, he makes some good points there.
Yeah, the Warren stuff's interesting.
It is.
You can't give. I mean, I like Gainwell. I like to call him a satellite player. A satellite back. There's a lot of use there, but in his case, unlike Warren, I'm certain he can't handle 50% touches. I know that.
Sure.
Warren, I don't know. We'll see.
Maybe we will see starting this Sunday. Matt, why don't you say we?
And it doesn't mean if he sprains his ankle in the first carry, you can't ever do that.
Correct. Correct. What do you say we take a look around the league at some of this other crazy action, some
stuff
big
going on in Cincy,
big
and
stuff
a crazy
going on
weekend
in the AFC
general.
North. Yeah,
2 games tonight. I mean, back-to-backers.
Let's get into all of that when we return on the other side. Wes Uhler, Matt Williamson, you are tuned in to The Drive on Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. Back on The Drive here as we roll along on this Monday, and it's now time to go around the league. And Matt, I think we should start with, I don't know, maybe it's just because we're an AFC North team and we pay a lot of attention to the other 3 teams in the division, but I do think the biggest story out of the NFL Week 2 and
times 1,000
is Joe Burrow's status. And for those who haven't heard, toe injury, turf toe, being reported that he's expected to miss up to 13 months. Yeah, 13 months. Sorry, 3 months. 13 months would be a really long time. 3 months that he is expected to miss, which would put him.
It could be the whole season.
Which would put him right around the Christmas time frame. At that point, there might be 2 or 3 games left in the season. Mm-hmm. Are you going to rush him back? They're 2-0 now, but what's that look like by then? That's just a terrible situation for Cincinnati.
Yeah, it's the worst. I mean, he's a top 4 quarterback, but even if it were Herbert, Stroud, Daniels, whoever, I mean, it destroys your season. I mean, it's just the way that this league is, and it's rough. It's rough. We talked about it in the first segment. This is not a kind league. It is not a forgiving league. If you're the weak antelope, you get eaten. I mean, it's just the way it happens, and that's what makes it fun to some degree. But especially this team. I mean, they're so pass-centric. It's not like they're going to win running the ball and playing defense. I mean, that's off the table for this team. Now, if we look at it, Steelers stuff aside, just through a Bengals lens here, they are 2-0.
It's a good start.
And I'll be honest, they're pretty fortunate to be 2-0. I thought they were the inferior team in both games. But they're 2-0, and that's all that matters. All that matters, what's Parcells say? You are what your record says you are. Your record are. And I'll be honest, that coaching staff has done a pretty good job with this backup quarterback the few times they've had to. Mm-hmm. Now, short stints, not for 12 games in a row or the next 15 or whatever. But they're 2-0, and you're still throwing to Chase and Higgins, but you're going to have to throw a lot. Yeah. And it's not Burrow. And I just don't know how else to code it other than those 2 things that are good. You're 2-0, and you've had some success with this guy before, but
you're going to need to score 31 points again a lot.
A lot. I don't think the defense is getting fixed. I don't think the running game or line is going to be strengths,
Yeah, hey, say he misses the next 12 games.
Yeah.
If they go 6-6, you're 8-6, and you still are alive.
You're
for
probably
a playoff
alive,
spot,
yeah.
and maybe he comes back for the last 2 or 3 games.
Right.
But if you
But
go,
what's his first game going to be like when he comes back? And, right.
Absolutely, and then especially if you go 4-8,
Mm-hmm.
it's over at that point.
And I think there's a chance. I mean, I haven't dug into the deep medical reports, and nobody knows. There might be a chance he can't come back at all this year.
Sure.
Like medically, like he may not get
Sure.
cleared. Right.
Yeah, that like even if they were in a playoff position, it's not the juice isn't worth the squeeze for trying to rush him back.
Or what if the franchise could get hurt even worse?
Totally.
Like you don't rush him. He'll want to, but I have such respect for him as a player. I mean, I know it's a rival, but it kind of breaks your heart a little bit too. Like I hate these things.
I do too. I do too, and I know that it benefits the Steelers because now you're going to get the Bengals without. I'm not going to turn away.
You got 2 games ahead of them that you don't get Burrow.
I'm not going to turn away from that aspect of it.
Right.
But yeah, I'm also not like giddy about it as well too.
No.
And you and I both we love the Steelers. It's a team we grew up,
Sure.
worshiping at the altar of the terrible towel, like all Western Pennsylvania children do. But we also love football, and I think he's the 4th best quarterback in the world.
Yeah,
it
special player.
It does kind of stink for the game to lose a guy like that.
But I take a cold approach to this sometimes too. It's like you still have Cincy on the schedule twice, and those games got a lot easier now.
Go hunt that antelope, baby.
Yeah, and you got to be the hunter or the hunted, and there's 7 out of 16 teams that are going to the playoffs in the AFC, and one of them has a lot less chance of going now than they did 2 days ago.
They sure do. I wonder what that exact number is of like Cincinnati's chance of making the playoffs when Burrow was still in the game, as opposed to now, and the injury reports and all that. Because originally there was, I think at first they had said like he'll miss a few weeks, and then it came out that it's going to be more like a few months.
Right.
So yeah, certainly I think the story of the NFL Sunday, except for maybe Matt, the one thing that might have usurped that was an all-time classic between the Cowboys and the Giants. The TV executives at Fox had to be giddy with glee that that game in a national spotlight goes to overtime. They held off the start of the Chiefs-Eagles game to give that game more time to shine. Right. You had George Pickens scoring at the end. It looked like the Cowboys won it. Then Russ the Neighbors. My goodness. And I was thinking of you.
Two former Steelers are going kind of crazy.
2 former Steelers going crazy. I'm thinking of Matt, too, when that play happens. I'm hearing you in the back of my head. Neighbors is going to be a star, dude. Neighbors,
he was awesome in that game.
You've been telling me that since halfway through last year. Neighbors is going to be a star. And it looks like the Giants snatched a victory at the end of that game. The Cowboys in like 20-some seconds, and Dak able to orchestrate into field goal position.
Yeah.
An overtime that went back and forth until I think the second best serial killer in the National Football League won it for the Cowboys. That's an all-time classic between 2 division rivals.
He took it to overtime with a big kick, and then he won it with a big kick. Yes. Kickers matter,
Aubrey's
man.
legit, man.
He's a great one.
He absolutely is. But that was an all-time classic between 2 historic rivals.
Yeah, again, 2 big markets, NFC East battle. I mean, just super entertaining. I'm not sure if that has the ramifications of something like a Burrow injury, but just you rarely see games to that level.
Yeah.
And even, I paid a little extra attention, obviously, to Patriots, Miami. I mean, there was some weird stuff in that one, too. Like, Miami returns a punt for a touchdown, kicks off, and they returned that kickoff for a touchdown.
Yes.
Like that, I think it's happened like once in 1952 or something crazy.
That is crazy.
Yeah, I mean
that was a thrilling game too.
The league has been really entertaining this year.
How about Vrabel sprinting down the sideline?
Right.
As the kick return happened, that was a really good one between the Patriots and the Dolphins. And man, Mike McDaniel in his post game press conference sounded like a defeated coach.
Yeah,
I know it's only 2
2
games into the season, but.
They were a lot better than they were in week 1, but they still didn't win.
And I know it's college and it's different, and their season starts a week ahead, but Virginia Tech and UCLA both just fired their coach today.
Oh, did they? Okay.
So like college teams are firing their coaches 3 games into the season.
We're already getting
that
those
means the
moves.
NFL is not too far behind. And yeah, I think the Dolphins are just in a rough place right now, and certainly that loss at home against the Patriots did not help.
Big win for the Patriots, so they're obviously the upcoming opponent here. You're right.
Big win for the Patriots, and they'll be feeling much better heading home with a win under their belt.
Right. Both 0-2.
Back in front of their home crowd at Foxborough against the Steelers. And the Lions, Matt, taking care of business. I think this was something. I think this was something you and I expected them to bounce back.
Yeah.
But man, 52 points as they just smoke. They win by 31 against the Bears.
I think I definitely said it last week. Other places, I thought we talked about it, but after week 1, I looked at the Ravens,
Lions,
you
did mention this.
Chiefs,
and said, don't care.
I don't know who they're playing, but I'm picking all those guys to win big. And then I saw the Chiefs were taking the Eagles, and I went back on my word on one of the 3, but the other 2 looked pretty good. And boy, the Green Bay wins look so much better now,
yes,
too.
They do.
I mean, they dismantled that Lions offense that dropped a 50-burger, you know, and they also destroyed a Washington offense that was like one of the best in the league last year, too. So Green Bay's sitting pretty. I mean, wouldn't be shocked when we go through like power ranks tomorrow, I think, that they could be 1, and I would understand it.
I think they might be. I think they certainly probably should be.
And like the Black Knight, the Lions aren't dead yet, you know.
Not dead. Just a flesh wound.
Yeah.
What are you going to do, bleed on me? Rams.
That was Bring Out Your Dead.
Bring out your dead. That's right. Yeah.
No,
you'll be stone dead in a moment. All right, come on. Can't you just take them for me? I'm not coming back till Tuesday. Rams 33-19 over the Titans. I think that was to be expected.
Yeah.
You and I we forgot to do our survivor pool picks on Friday on the show.
Yeah.
You took the Rams. I took Buffalo. Both successful. It was a little tight there for the Rams, until the fourth quarter.
Let's pretend we told people that.
Let's pretend.
Because I actually did I could show you it on the app. I could put it right here. I mean, that was the team I picked.
I think we'll count those.
We're going to count those.
Yes. We just forgot to share our picks on air. But also from a Titans standpoint, listen, I think it's all about Cam Ward and can he play? Do you feel like he's the guy? And again, I thought he showed some flashes in that game.
I would be excited if
I would too.
Titans fans too. I mean, he's remarkably talented. All accounts, pre-draft, post-draft. He's great from the neck up. Great mentality on this stuff. Tough, and they just don't have much around him, And he's going to be a roller coaster. I fear that there's yet another AFC star quarterback in the making.
I hate to say it, but
yeah.
I think that might be the case as well too. How about Mac Jones? Little redemption for him as the Niners go into New Orleans. They moved to 2-0 after a 26-21 win. A lot of injuries for San Francisco, but 2-0 and finding ways to navigate it.
Yeah, I would just call it like a business trip. Like we're not on our best. We're kind of banged up, but you go on a trip that you should win. You do win. You get out of there. I don't care about style points. You made the sale on the business trip.
Jets drop another one at home to start their season and fall to 0-2, although it was much different than the loss to the Steelers. Concern there for the Jets, or is this is a division opponent who knows us well, who's one of the best teams in the league, and we just had to take our medicine that day?
I don't know.
Somewhere in between, maybe?
Yeah, I would say it's a game I didn't pay as much attention to. Unfortunately for them, Fields suffered a concussion, I think it was, and is highly unlikely to play next week. And Tyrod Taylor, so you built some momentum with him in week 1. And it's not like, what is it, the transitive property. If I beat you, you should beat me, blah, blah. That's not how the league works. Right.
B beats C. That doesn't mean that A is going to beat C.
Right, which makes
Unless
me
it's
crazy.
the backyard brawl, Pitt just lost to Ohio as well, too. All right, I had to get that in there today.
Nice. I can't believe it took you this long to bring up the brawl.
I'm maturing in my 34 years of life.
But I thought the Jets were pretty darn bad yesterday, and it doesn't make the Steelers win look any better. But I also thought the Jets were quite impressive in the game against Steelers. I mean, so that's what I mean. Like, just because A beats B doesn't mean B doesn't mean,
It's 2 weeks.
Right.
Yeah. But the Jets fans are not feeling as good this Monday after a loss as they did last Monday after a loss. Matt,
the Bills are pretty good.
Another team that you were absolutely correct in thinking was going to roll this week, and I'm sure they were a very popular survivor pool pick this week. The Ravens get their first win of the season back at home against the Browns. They roll Cleveland 41-17, and kind of the, I think vintage Baltimore performance we all expected.
Yeah, and didn't have to really rely on Henry all that much, they just did what they did. And Baltimore's and people won't want to hear it or accept it.
Oh,
but
they're really good.
They're really, really good.
Matt, the Colts get it done again.
That's an interesting turn of events.
Perhaps the most surprising 2-0 team in the National Football League.
Yeah.
They hit a walk-off field goal to win 29-28 against the Broncos. A little officiating controversy in there as well, too. But get this. I don't know if you've seen this. You're the stats guy, but I wanted to maybe spring this on you today.
Steeler-centric today.
The Indianapolis Colts, the 2025 Colts, are the first team in the Super Bowl era not to punt in their first 2 games.
Wow, I knew it was true after week 1.
They still have not punted, the Colts. First team in the Super Bowl era.
And that Denver defense is really good. The Miami one,
I think we both picked them to go to the playoffs, correct?
Yeah.
Yes. That's
tough loss for Denver. Knicks got better. That was promising because they had a struggle in week 1. And you mentioned the controversy. It was the right call, but I mean, it was a super long field goal.
Yes.
They get the 5-yard penalty. He misses the super long field goal, and 5 yards closer, drains it. You lose. Tough way to lose, man.
It is. It certainly is. The Cardinals also moved to 2-0, 27-22 over the Panthers. Matt, I don't think asking Bryce Young to throw 55 times is a recipe for winning too many games.
No, and they're a pretty poor football team. Carolina really got dominated for about 3 quarters. And some of it was like against prevent and blah, blah, blah. But they made it interesting in the end.
They did.
You know?
And
they jumped on onside kick, I think, too. They actually recovered an onside kick. Yeah.
I don't think that while the Panthers are going to be bad and one of the worst teams in the league, I don't think they'll be a pushover week to week either, if that makes sense.
No.
Like I do think that they'll find a way to win or to lose some ugly games. Like I
can see that.
I don't expect them to lose by 31 points a lot like we just saw Chicago do.
Right. Yeah.
But they're a ways away.
They are.
And for the Cardinals, you got a pretty nice dealt a pretty nice hand in terms of how your schedule started with New Orleans and Carolina. You take advantage of it and move to 2-0.
We'll see how real they are.
Matt, in what was the game that had the most eyeballs on it this weekend, certainly the Chiefs, the Eagles, once again at Arrowhead Stadium too. Once again, man, the Eagles just finding a way to get it done against Kansas City.
Yeah, and it wasn't a super exciting game. There wasn't a lot of big plays, Barkley jumping over people, But my big takeaway of the Chiefs is that they just don't have any weapons right now.
No.
Their running game with Pacheco's, Kelsey's not what he used to be. No Rashee Rice, no Xavier Worthy. Mahomes is doing stuff, but he's not getting a lot of help, and there was a couple plays he missed too, and I'm not officially worried about the Chiefs, but I'm not sure they're in the top 5-ish anymore.
Step back. I mean, and again, that doesn't mean they're terrible. That doesn't mean they still won't win double-digit games and go to the playoffs, but I think if you're listing the true forget Super Bowl contenders, Super Bowl favorites right now, I don't think they're can be
pretty low, they're down the list.
And that to me is like, I'm going to give them a lot of benefit of the doubt.
Oh,
Until the wheels completely fall off, I'm going to give them a lot of benefit of the doubt.
They'll probably figure it out.
But
Philly's a top opponent.
I think Philly's in a better tier. Baltimore's in a better tier. Buffalo's in a better tier. The Packers are in a better tier. Like I think those four clearly have a lot going for them than Kansas City does.
Maybe we can start talking about them versus like the Lions and teams like that maybe.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Not in that upper tier, maybe in the second tier. But it's 2 games. The first one was on the road in Brazil against a division foe.
Right.
The
it was
second
not the
one,
easiest opponents.
The second one, you lose by 3 to the Super Bowl champion. It hasn't been a disaster for Kansas City, but a surprise 0-2 start, I think, certainly for a team that only lost 2 games all of last year.
And the Eagles are sitting pretty, and they're quite good.
The Eagles are sitting pretty, absolutely. And, I think they're going to be just fine. And then finally, last night, Matt, I don't think any of us saw that coming. The Vikings at home fall to the Falcons 22-6.
And as you're saying that, my phone just lit up that J.J. McCarthy suffered a high ankle sprain that game. So he's going to be out for a while.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That's not great for Minnesota.
It's not great for his development, too. He's been swimming upstream these 2 games to begin with.
He had that good quarter against Chicago, but
that's about it.
The other 7 quarters have not been promising.
No. And I thought Penix was really impressive. Bijan was
unbelievable.
I mean, wow.
Unbelievable.
That's a rare player there. And
yes, it is.
They had to settle for field goals here and there, but they could have been up heavy on the Vikings.
Does that mean Carson Wentz Is the court?
I think so.
Does that mean we could see Carson Wentz in
around.
Ireland?
I think
Could we see the red? Could we see the
I know
redhead
he's on
over
the
in
team.
Dublin?
I think he's truly the two. I didn't think of the Steeler angle.
Yeah.
So you're probably not going to get McCarthy. Almost definitely not going to get McCarthy.
Yeah, but I don't want to face a redheaded quarterback in Dublin.
Right,
I mean,
right.
that's
He's got
asking.
magic powers.
That's asking for trouble. He's going to find the end of the rainbow there.
They'll find a leprechaun.
It's not the start you wanted if you're Minnesota. Certainly.
No, this season's not going to plan.
It's not going to plan. And then the other side of that, I think for some of that optimism for Atlanta coming into the season, I think started to show itself last night.
Which stood out to me with Atlanta, other than Bijan, is wow.
He is so good.
Better than ever, even, and he's wow. But their defense might be getting okay. Everyone talks about they draft those 2 pass rushers with first-round picks, and they're decent. But like Billy Bowman, the nickel, and the safety next to Bates, Watts from Notre Dame, they may have got 4 like legit starters in this draft, and maybe finally they'll have a defense. But man, they haven't forever.
They have not forever.
Right.
Their sack numbers are like the opposite of the Steelers.
Oh,
like,
that's one of my favorite stats out there.
Yeah, as the Steelers have spent the last 7 or 8 years, last year aside, in the top 3, top 5, leading the league in sacks.
I might just have to spit it out because I love this.
I
mean, over the last 5 years, the Steelers have the most sacks in the league. Falcons have the last. Over the last 10 years, Steelers have the most sacks in the league. Falcons are last.
Yes, thank you.
Over the last 20 years.
But wait, there's more.
The Steelers are first. The Falcons are last.
I called you Dr. Williamson. Maybe you're Williamson Mays here. Matthew
insane.
Mays, Billy Williamson here with the Billy Mays. But wait, there's more. That is nuts.
That's nuts.
That's an organizational pattern. But
for both.
But it looks like maybe the Falcons are starting.
I hope they're both not changing in that direction.
I certainly hope that is the case.
Right.
Absolutely. Well said. One more segment to go. We'll cross some T's, dot some I's, talk a little bit about these Monday night doubleheaders tonight before we get up out of here. Wes Uhler and Matt Williamson. It's The Drive on Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. Down the home stretch here on a Monday, and Matt, we have got one of these classic early season Monday Night Football doubleheaders here. Do you, just real quick, you enjoy this? I mean, this has been a trend now, I think, ever since ESPN took over Monday Night Football, where early in the year, and then I think later in the year, they'll do some of these doubleheaders with the first game starting at 7 instead of 8:15, the usual time slot. I mean, I take it as a football junkie. You're a fan?
Yeah. Super quick, my phone just lit up too. Jaden Daniels was uncertain for week 3 too. He's got some stuff going on with a knee. So
okay.
We got some big time quarterbacks that are facing stuff all of a sudden here. I'm a night person, so the extra late night tonight doesn't really bother me. And I do like game 1 starting a little early. So yes, it's not my favorite thing. I mean, it's after watching all day Sunday, starting with the pre-game show, no, I can never complain about my job, but it's a lot in a row. To be honest,
we're not
Mondays. I do a lot of shows.
We're not swinging hammers.
Right.
We're not performing life-saving operations or anything like that.
Right.
But they do come. They come fast, man.
Yeah.
And it can be a lot to digest. I love the 7 o'clock. I forget what year
I like
it was,
that
but
part, yeah.
I do. I'm trying to remember, but I think the Steelers played in one of these Monday night doubleheaders one point and had the 7 o'clock game, and I remember being like, all right, instead of getting home at 3 a.m., I'll get home at 1:45. This is much better.
That part's great, right?
Yeah. Bucks and Texans tonight.
I think it's a great one.
Great. 2 teams that made the playoffs last year, 2 division favorites. Bucks.
We were talking about tiers, the Bills and Ravens are up here. Maybe the Chiefs are in that second tier. These two could prove to both be in there, or maybe one's going to be like, I'm in the second tier.
Totally.
I don't know.
Totally.
I don't have a strong feeling on this game, but I'm looking forward to it.
I think it's a big one for Houston. Back at home.
Yeah.
You don't want to start 0-2.
Would be rough, right?
That's a tough
Especially
task,
with the Colts 2-0 all of a sudden.
Colts 2, you'd be division, 2 games behind your division opponent just 2 weeks into the season. This is Houston 2.5-point favorite, which is about the home field advantage. You know what I mean? That almost makes it a pick-em if it's a neutral site game.
I lean towards Houston.
I do too.
I really like their defense.
Man, I think it's the most underrated. When people talk about the elite, the best defenses in the NFL, or at least coming into the season, it felt like they were
right there.
Not in the conversation as much as they should have been.
Yeah. Now, I'm not sure about their offensive line stuff. I thought Stroud played really well in week 1, despite the numbers not blowing you away or any of that stuff. I mean, but Tampa's just strong every week.
They are.
I mean, that's a good franchise.
They got a good roster.
Yeah.
They've got it figured out on offense. They are substantially banged up, the Bucs, but I think Houston will take care of business, not move to 0-2, and get a win at home on Monday night. And then out in Viva Las Vegas, a divisional matchup between the Raiders, who are 1-0 and feeling pretty good about themselves, and the Chargers, who are 1-0 and a little bit extra. I mean, I'm sure they're not complaining, right? Because they were coming back from Brazil, from a different country.
Yeah.
It's not a massive time change like going to Ireland or England or something like that. I think it's only a 1-hour difference, but still.
Nice long break.
Nice long break for the Chargers. Could we potentially see any rust there, or do you think LA 3.5-point favorites on the road there at Allegiant Stadium in Vegas?
Yeah, I was really impressed with the Chargers in week 1. Herbert in particular. But the weapons, I think, are noticeably better. It's not just McConkey now. Allen looks like he's got more in the tank than I thought. Alt goes from right tackle to left and is perfectly fine. You know what I mean? And so I think they're at least a tier, if not 2, ahead of the Raiders. Yeah, I know the Raiders are undefeated as we speak, and
Better.
Bowers and Genty and those guys are fun. And
They're not a doormat.
No, they're improving as an organization, but I think I like the Chargers in this one.
And if you're LA, talk about a big opportunity, kind of what we just talked about with Houston and Indianapolis. If you're the Chargers, you win tonight, you got a 2-game division lead and
Over
the tiebreaker already over Kansas City.
Wow, I hadn't thought about that angle, but I guess it's amazing. We're not even done with week 2, and we're talking about divisional races, and I got the leg up and a 2-game lead over the Chiefs.
But as you mentioned,
tiebreaker.
like a 17-game
There's only 15
schedule.
more after this.
Like,
Right.
They
you have to start looking that way.
They all matter. I mean, we know like division titles and things like that are won in December, but you can lose them in September as well too.
Absolutely. 2-0 start would be huge in that division. Denver lost yesterday. You beat 2 division games too.
Yeah.
You're 2-0 in the division.
That's a great point.
Right, yeah.
Which is a massive tiebreaker. I mean, you could really have like a dream start to the season if you're the Chargers and you take care of business.
I'm sure the mathematicians would tell you, boy, their chances of going to the postseason are like 80% or something. As I say, something like that, like high 70%, something like that, like even after 2 weeks.
Makes a lot of sense. And
quarterback's dropping. That's kind of the news all of a sudden.
It is the news all of a sudden. But 4 pretty good quarterbacks that we're going to get to watch tonight between Baker, between Stroud, between Herbert,
your boy Gino,
and between our Lord and Savior, Eugene Cyril Smith III.
So did you have a good time on Saturday?
I had a great time on Saturday. I really enjoyed myself. Our buddy Adam Crowley, we had a great time.
Cool.
And, much like, to bring it full circle here, my favorite thing about Geno Smith was he was undefeated 3-0 against the Pitt Panthers.
Okay.
And now we wait 4 years till the next backyard brawl.
Oh, it's that long.
I know, which kind of stinks, but not when you win it in epic fashion, coming back, down 10 points with 2 minutes left and then win in overtime.
From your perspective, I'm sure some listeners disagree. It's a great way for the hiatus to start.
Oh, yeah. Stew in that one, listeners, for a little bit. Let that marinate for the next 4 years, baby. Obviously sad that I think the most underrated rivalry in college sports, that's the one thing that Pitt and WVU fans can always agree upon. They need us. We need them. They don't get that type of emotion when other teams come to town. We don't get that type of emotion when other teams come to town.
My Pitt buddies were brokenhearted.
Oh, I'm glad to hear.
Yeah, I'm sure you are. Yeah,
I let a lot of our Pitt buddies in the our colleagues in the media know about it on Sunday in the press box, as our video producer, Mr. TV, can attest to. He was there, baby. But yeah, that was a lot of fun, and we'll do Wednesday. We'll do our kind of around campus and talk about some college quarterbacks and everything. Big. It was a lot of important developments in the college football world. Particularly,
I was a little out of the loop on Saturday. You're gonna have to drive that train.
Yeah, we'll get into all of that on Wednesday. But that will do it for our show today. I'm gonna go home tonight and not only have these double headers on, not only rewatch the Steelers game, I'm also going to rewatch the Backyard Brawl, baby.
Oh, so you got all kinds of stuff on tap.
We're going to get all into it tonight, Matt. Great stuff, man. As always, enjoyed the show today. Thank you. Thanks to TV, our video producer on the YouTube side of things. Listen, I know we got to wear Steelers stuff and look professional on the YouTube stream.
Look at us.
You'll know that there was a small part of me that was like, can can I wear a WVU hat or something? Like,
You probably have socks.
I
or
know
underwear or something,
Reagan
right?
and
Yeah.
TV would have probably yelled at me, but like maybe I could get away. Don't ask for
Somewhere
forgiveness
hidden in
or
the
for
background
permission. Ask
somewhere,
for,
right?
yeah,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
I should have thrown up a sticker or a magnet or something behind me. It's all right. I got 4 more years to do that. For Matt Williamson, for Mr. TV, I'm Wes Uhler. Take care, everybody. We'll talk to you tomorrow. As always, you know where to find us. It's on your 24/7 home of the black and gold. It's Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network.